Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll, please.
Trustee McCauley?
Here.
Trustee Mason?
Here.
Trustee Gensel?
Here.
Trustee Campbell? Trustee Freiberg? Here. Trustee Gabriel?
Here.
President Gilbert?
Here.
Trustee Hernandez?
Here.
Treasurer Lucette? Here. Clerk Warner?
Approval of agenda. I just want to make 2 changes in unfinished business. We're going to add a resolution, adopt a resolution for the New Haven Historical Society. And item number unfinished business. Item D, the Ryan Smith contract, I want to move it up under me. We can call it A2.
I got a couple changes as well. I'm not sure what they plan to necessarily present, but it looks like a certain company is here. I don't know if they are or not, but they apparently requested an agenda item, Nora Properties. I think it might be worth hearing that prior to the vote on the marijuana facilities. So I would propose that new business item B be moved up. Again, it would be like A2 under unfinished business. That one change, and then I'd just like to add another item to new business. So it'd be item D, or yeah, just item D, I guess it'd be called vehicle storage ordinance. Touch on that.
Any other suggestions, changes? Hearing none, a motion in order.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. And probably moved and supported that we approve the agenda as amended. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment on agenda. Mr. Captain.
Hello, my name is Kyle Kappa. I'm commenting on the agenda item in regards to medical marijuana businesses. I'm here tonight to discuss that particular ordinance, or the proposals, the referendums that are proposed tonight and that were proposed at the previous meeting. I'm not here to discuss the medical merits of marijuana, because I believe this is not about medical marijuana. This is not a humanitarian initiative. This is about money and it's about business. It's about businesses looking to profit off the backs of taxpayers in a community they believe is vulnerable. These business people see New Haven just like Rizzo did when they tried to put a landfill in our little village. They see us as easy targets, but they don't know us. They don't know how this community can rally together at a moment's notice, whether it be cheering on our softball team, raising money for someone who is sick, or fighting to block a landfill. We always have each other's backs. Up until now, most of the people who've come to speak to you in support of marijuana businesses in New Haven have been people who intend to profit from that business in some way or another. I'm here to represent a different demographic that you haven't heard much from just yet. I'm a proud parent of 2 New Haven students. I'm also a homeowner. My property taxes, and only a few other of my neighbors, could cover all the possible revenue that the village could expect from a marijuana business. I want you to know that me and my friends are 100% against putting any marijuana initiatives on the ballot at this time. We believe the marijuana business would be detrimental to the already struggling image of New Haven. It would constrain our already limited municipal resources and would put undue burden on the community. We do not believe there is a true benefit to our community as a whole to introduce this variable. We have been fighting for years to change the perception of our village. Then came the landfill. Then came the bribery charges. And now we have this controversial marijuana proposal. We finally got Lombardo to come back. They're building again. People are literally lining up to buy homes in New Haven. They're literally lining up. They can't build the basements fast enough. It would be senseless for us to change the course we're on and risk stifling out that development. We should be focusing all our energy on the potential that all these vacant lots in New Haven have for tax revenue for the village, for children in our schools, not the risky marijuana business. You can argue that the negative perception of medical marijuana is changing, but you can't argue that the negative stigma doesn't exist, because it does. Our 2 little square miles can't afford to take the risk that involves image. Not now. Now is not the right time. I'm urging you as council members to vote no on putting this proposal on our ballot and to retract your previous votes in favor of referendums. I don't feel that any of you or any of us yet fully understand how to handle these businesses and how it could affect our village in the positive or the negative. Wait for the state to complete all of their work on licensing and regulatory affairs. If anything, let the bigger communities who can handle this be the guinea pigs. Not here, not now. Thank you.
Any other comment on the agenda?
My name is Andy Rossick. I'm a homeowner in the village and I have 2 children in New Haven Community Schools. I'm the Cub Master for New Haven Cub Scout Pack 72. I've also been a coach in New Haven Little League, New Haven Junior Hoops, and New Haven Youth Soccer. I'm here to urge council to vote no on moving forward with the medical marijuana initiatives. This is and will continue to be misrepresented as a referendum supporting or not supporting medical marijuana. This has nothing to do with agreeing or disagreeing with the benefits of medical marijuana. This is a business venture and whether we want these types of facilities in our village at this time. This is about you as our village governing body acting in the best interest of this village and its residents. There's been little effort, in my opinion, to understand if residents would or would not support this initiative. Lack of participation by residents in previous council meetings and public forums should be enough to tell council that residents are not coming out in droves in support. The most vocal support for this ballot measure has been those who stand to benefit from it or are being paid to support it. It's difficult to believe that council would jump forward to a ballot measure without requiring some proof that this is desired. Why haven't the supporters or possible operators been asked by council to canvass neighborhoods seeking supporting signatures to prove to council that there is interest in this initiative? What is the rush? Residents should not be asked to vote to prove this interest. The burden of proof should be borne by the supporters seeking placement on the ballot. There have been some claims that this is about voters' rights. Let's be clear, this is not about voters' rights. Council is elected to act in the best interest of the village. It's not practical for the residents to vote on every issue that becomes before council. This is about opening a door. The pro-marijuana lobby is salivating at the opportunity to make this election about the poor souls who need medical relief. That is not what this is about. There have been some claims that we need to jump on this wagon or risk losing out financially. The financial impact is estimated between $20,000 and $50,000 annually. This is not a financial boon to our economy. Some on council have been directing their efforts toward this initiative for some time, but let's put it into perspective financially. New construction and some existing construction is now selling for upwards of $200,000. At present millage rates, this represents over $4,000 in annual property taxes. There's 3 pillars to high-pressure sales processes: fear and uncertainty and doubt, or FUD. Rhetoric from supporters that we must act now or we will lose out. Insinuations that there's a falling stigma about marijuana usage, And any other number of examples are simply sales tactics to get you to buy now. Don't fall for the FUD. Be courageous and do what you know is the right thing for this village. Do not open the door to allow marijuana-related facilities in this village right now.
I just wanted to comment on this dispensary possibly coming here to New Haven. I just wanted to shed a light on a couple of things. As most of you know, I am in law enforcement, so my view on it, I get to see different things as far as it relates to dispensaries. And one of the things that I can say is that I feel that the village is too small to handle what comes with a dispensary. Okay. The dispensaries, no matter what ordinances are in place, often bring along a criminal element, such as illegal activity from non-card holders. Okay, these are non-card holders who will be coming from and in and outside of New Haven. Dispensaries do get robbed at gunpoint and are often raided. New Haven has very little crime compared to most communities, which is why I moved here. And our police presence is not large enough to police it. Okay. And it'll also be literally in my backyard from what I understand. So I ask that you all consider not voting for this at this time. Like the others just stated, what's the rush? Not now, okay? So that's all I have to say. I'm just concerned about the safety of this. This village is very small. And we do have other dispensaries outside of the village that people can utilize. So I just don't think it's a good idea to bring to the village. Thank you.
Mr. President, Council, let me make it very clear. I am not here I'm not going to speak in favor of or against. I think the issue that I hear people talking about here, and I saw Mr. Brunel's vote no on an election, it's about democracy is what we're talking about here now. And this issue of having something appear on the ballot, if the people want to have something on the ballot, it's basic democracy. They should not be denied the right to self-determination and the right to approve or deny or to say what they want. So I think the people should have a right to decide whether or not they want to participate in this program or not. This is simple democracy. This is not a totalitarian government. I don't think it is. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Hay. I'm also a parent in the community. I was a Christian Ed director. I'm an employee. So I'm not somebody who would stand to benefit from anything that's being proposed. I'm not particularly in favor of a dispensary, but I am in favor of a grow facility. There's a lot of misperceptions. Our village is a lot bigger than people's perception of it. It's bigger than Pembroke and Amherst and Decorah and Gratiot. It goes beyond that. There are more rural areas. They're not talking about walling off hucks and putting plants in the windows and putting Crackhead Debbie as the supervisor in the doorway. These facilities come with a lot of regulation, a lot of security, a lot of oversight, and that's what we would be counting on. If this were to go to a vote, if everybody is so completely sure that the entire community is against it, it'll be voted down. If that's the case, there's your answer. To put it to a vote will not cost the community anything because this isn't another damn recall in New Haven. But at the same time, it is absolutely about the freedom of choice of this community to make their decision. CVS sells a lot of things I don't approve of. I'm not real big on Vicodin and morphine and things like that. But the bottom line is, it's legal for them to sell it. There are people that need it, and that is their choice. I didn't vote down CVS. We keep hearing about the possibility that it's going to increase our crime rate. Just for the record, there's already plenty of marijuana in this town, but it's under the table. This would all be strictly regulated and monitored, and frankly, I think it would make the crime aspect of it go away because it would take away that market. And this isn't about selling out the back door to teenagers. This is to card-holding people. So whether you're in favor of it or against it, as far as the usage of it, that's not what this is about. And also, to put this to a vote doesn't mean that we're going to turn around and build a facility in January and have it up and running immediately. It means just like the fact that it's just, Chesterfield has just put out today that they are putting together an exploration committee to explore the ramifications of it one way or the other more deeply than obviously has been done thus far. We could either do the same thing or join in on their investigation and utilize some of their assets in doing the research. The bottom line is, we're all residents here, and it's our choice on whether we want it or not. And if you don't put it to a vote, then only the people who are coming to you, specifically seeking you out, are the opinions you're taking into consideration, and that's not everybody's opinion.
Any other comment on the agenda? Kevin?
Yes, hi, my name is Kevin Smith. I've been
Excuse me, Kevin. Is your hand up to be recognized, or you're just advertising?
Just advertising.
Okay.
I will, yes, I do want to speak, but whenever you...
Then you need to put your hand down so I know when it comes up.
All right, my name is Kevin Smith. I've been a resident here of New Haven for 12 years, and I'm asking that maybe you take into consideration changing your vote to a yes vote by putting the dispensary and grow facility on the ballot for the November of 2017. This is a major decision, and by not denying the residents a chance to vote, council is making a decision for us. I realize that you are all on council to make decisions that are for the good of the village, but this is really too huge. In my opinion, if it is not put on the ballot for the residents to vote on in November, then it is never going to be resolved one way or the other. Why not just put all 5 items on the ballot and let the residents vote on it? Isn't that what democracy is all about? Why make such a huge decision to try to speak for everyone? We are a village of approximately 5,000 people, with roughly 68% of those people being of voting age, and you are a board of 7. Let your residents vote on all 5 motions, and if this is something that the majority of the residents want or don't want, it will show at the polls. If it is truly something that the residents of the village don't want, then the confidence should be there to put it on the ballot. Let the vote happen and put it to bed. There are no recalls, there is no placing blame where it should be. Put it on the residents. Make the choice so that if it doesn't or it doesn't pass, it's on us. Please give us the opportunity to vote. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Robert Pennell. I've lived in the village of New Haven for the past 12 years. I've served on this board for 4, Planning Commission, ZBA. I'm very active scout leader, very active in this community. If it goes on to the school, I'm volunteering for it. I love this community and I like the way it is. Maybe it's not the fanciest, but you know what? It's home. Now, a lot of talk has come down about the process of you putting it on the ballot for us to vote on. That does cost us money no matter how you dice and slice it. You have attorneys and fees. Typically, when somebody wants something in the community, they get a petition, they circulate that petition throughout the community, and see if they can get enough signatures to put it on the ballot. The people, it comes from the ground up to put it on the ballot. Not from the 7 people here to put it on the ballot, but in the past, whether it be the water project, a recall, those things are homegrown from the bottom of the village upward. They come with their petitions, they get validated. If there's enough people with interest in having that in their town, then of course you put it on the ballot. At this point, Very few people probably even know about it. Very few people, there has been no petition circulated throughout the community to actually say, hey, yes, please put this on the ballot for us. It hasn't happened. And it shouldn't happen from this table putting it on the ballot, because there is a push from the various people to put it there. Let it be homegrown, like everything else that's come out of, well, that's a terrible word to use. But quite honestly, I'd rather have it homegrown in somebody's basement, and that's what they smoke and do in the privacy of their own home, than sticking it in our community where I don't care what you do, just like the dump in the lavender, it's going to put off an odor. It is. No ifs, ands about it. And I got to agree, Kyle, I think deserves another round of applause because what he said tonight was elegant. And also Andy, again, elegant, very well put. It's about money. So if the villagers want this, let the villagers work for it and bring it onto the ballot. That's what a petition's for. I've worked on many petitions on this in this community, and I've gone door to door to get that support. So instead of trying to stick it on here, let those people go door to door and see if they can get the number of required petitions signed, validated, and put on the ballot. Instead of people coming here, just like was said, it's about money. We're low-hanging fruit here in New Haven, and we have been for many years.
Mr. Purnell, your time is up.
I appreciate your time, Mr. Dilbert, and council. I hope you heed.
Any other questions?
Thank you. My name is Andrew Osterholm. I'm a resident. I'm a parent of 4 kids who go to New Haven schools. I'm a teacher in the neighboring district, and I'm also a member of the New Haven Schools Board of Education. Education is my big thing. To be perfectly honest, I don't believe this is about democracy. I don't believe this is about opinions. I believe this is about education. That's where my stance is on it anyway. And I would like to get you guys to look into it a little bit more. The information that I've gathered on my own, I've researched some of the things after reading up on 3,000 to 5,000 Facebook posts in the last 24 hours, I don't know. Both sides of the spectrum. I have no problem with people's opinions or them supporting it or showing support. The issue I have is people's education. I don't think people are naive. I don't think people are uneducated. I don't think they're dumb. But I think that Chesterfield's doing the right thing. I know it just came out today and it's a big deal. There's nothing wrong with waiting. There's nothing wrong with bringing that education to everybody in the community so that when it is ready and it is available, then bring it to a vote. It's not a committee of 1 or 2. It's a committee of the whole. And I think everybody's education needs to be combined and then shared with the village so that we can make a vote on it. To put it in front of everybody in November, you're going to get the people who definitely want it, the people who definitely don't, and it's all going to be based on opinion and what their gut feeling is on medical marijuana and nothing else. It's not going to be about business. It's not going to be about the benefit to the village. It's just gut feeling and what their neighbor says to vote. So I would encourage you guys to please vote no tonight, possibly rescind your votes from the previous meeting, and look into furthering not only your but the whole village's education on what the real benefits are going to be, what the numbers are, what the financials are, what the legalities of it are. Bring it all together and then bring it back for the vote in the future. There is no rush. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alex Shesky. I live in Decorah Park. I would just like to address Mr. Purnell's comment about...
No.
Okay, great. No problem.
Agenda items.
Great. I would like to address you as council. I feel that you guys have to make this decision not because we should gather petition signatures or anything else, but there was a change in legislation to the entire state of Michigan that is causing you guys to react one way or another to make a decision whether you allow these facilities or you don't. City council is taking the approach of punting it because you guys decided that you couldn't make a decision and you guys were afraid of the political backlash. that you could face based on this decision. So if you guys are truly taking the punting approach on this and not making a decision on it one way or another, I don't believe it's right for you guys to censor it, to say, we're only going to allow you guys to vote on 3 of the 5 facilities. Similarly, like when you guys have a village election, we get to vote on trustees, we get to vote on the president, we get to vote on everybody. So that would be the equivalent of saying, hey, we're going to allow the villagers in the next election to choose the trustees, but we shouldn't have a say of who the village president is. So I'm just asking you guys, if you're taking the true punting approach of it, to at least allow us to vote on all the measures or not allow us to vote on any of them and make your own decision based on all of them. But I believe you guys are elected to represent everybody's viewpoints within the village and not just your own, so that's why you guys decided to punt it and put it to a vote. So I would like to see either all of them go or none of them go, and you guys make the decision if you feel that your opinions are worth more than the votes of the residents. Thank you.
Thomas. I've been in the village for 3.5 years. I don't have fancy speeches and stats and numbers to throw around. But the people of Michigan voted in medical marijuana in 2008. The administration we have has done nothing to help that along. This is a stagnant community. I'm sorry, I love it. I'm perfectly happy here, but it's stagnant. It's stifled. We had the stigma of the foundry. We had the stigma of the trash. Why not take the green, embrace it, use it for good? The revenues, it's proven in communities that the surrounding businesses and municipality benefits. We're small enough, we could easily control it and regulate it. Sorry, it's a moneymaker. I've invested in stocks, it's amazing. The horse is out of the barn, embrace it, use it wisely. Keep greed and corruption out of it, move on, put it on the ballot. Thank you very much.
Good evening, my name is Ariana Welsh, and I am the co-owner of Mother Earth Natural Health at 27 Mile in Gratiot. I am commenting tonight on the vote to place the provisioning centers on the ballot for the residents of New Haven to vote on in November, along with the other license opportunities. I've spent a lot of time since the last meeting in May talking to people around the village that live, work, and own businesses here. They have had viewpoints that have ranged from not concerned about it to against it or in support of it. Or in support, I should say, of all or some of the state license issues that are under discussion. I have here some letters from residents of New Haven and a few business owners and workers that are expressing their support to have the remaining 2 license options placed on the ballot. And I'll hand these around. I just need to grab these at the end. If council wants any copies of these, I'd be more than happy to share after the meeting. So on those, I'd like to be very, very clear. Those letters are not in support or against the ballot initiatives, only to have the opportunity to voice their opinion on each of them. I understand that this topic brings a lot of emotions out in people and appreciate council's foresight in enabling the residents the time to learn more about the licenses and vote on those they want to see in their village. Over the weekend, I was very happy to see Trustee Meissen had shared his thoughts and pledged his vote to place the remaining 2 licenses on the November 2017 ballot. I know most of you think I'm happy about this because I clearly support provisioning centers, but that's only partially true. I was happy to see that he looked beyond his personal viewpoints, whatever they may be on the various licenses, and is placing his trust in his constituents. This was a courageous move that should not be overlooked, but actually be commended. Further, as a stakeholder in this community and a business owner, I appreciate council's due diligence in appointing Trustee Meissen, a true and genuine representative of the people of New Haven. He's the one that's speaking up for them. The right to vote is not something that should ever be taken away from anyone and should be honored by everyone. One last thing I would like to mention. I chose New Haven because of the hometown aspect of this town. I chose New Haven because it's a small, quiet, kind community and great group of people. Not to go on anybody's backs or take anything away from anyone, but to be part of a community that is like the one I live in. if I decide to move from where I live in, I'm coming to New Haven because of the great community and the great people that I have met here in the short time that I've been open. I have no intentions of leaving, and I'm happy to be a business owner and be part of this community. Thank you.
Any other comment?
Hello again, everyone. And I just want to compliment everyone in the audience for being here. You have so many foot soldiers here that want the best for their community. And so instead of countless hours on this item, I'd really like to see you guys put some effort into the PR aspect for our village. Perception is reality. I've worked very hard with my colleagues at our school, and we know how awesome we are and how awesome our community is, but outside of these boundaries, they don't know that about us. We've worked very hard to change that perception of what a New Haven student is and what a New Haven student can achieve and will achieve after graduation. So I'm a strong proponent that you guys have already put this to vote, because you put yourself on a ballot and had all of us elect you to make the right decision for us. So I'm going to keep saying perception is reality, and because that is a reflection of all of you as well. Because I make decisions every month, and the perception is the reality, the decision that I make. So I do not support it going to a ballot. We just recently went to ballot with something that unfortunately didn't pass, and because not everyone knows about it. And I'm not willing to take that risk that everyone will be educated on the how, the where, the why, who's going to benefit, who's not going to benefit. You guys were voted to make that decision for me and for my community. So I just want to remind you, look at all these foot soldiers that you have, and maybe let's figure out a way that we can work together and use them, use me, to change the perception. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sheila Manning. Keep it short and sweet. Just asking you guys to do the right thing, let democracy work, and let the residents vote. Thank you.
Can I speak again?
Ms. Rossi.
Hi, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Genevieve Rodzik. I'm a homeowner, been here about 13 years. I'm on Planning, Parks and Rec, and the New Haven Education Foundation, very active in the community. Starting with some of the things that I've heard, especially after the millage, from people that live outside of this community. Dicey, crooks, riffraff, uneducated, uninformed, deadbeats that don't pay their water bills, trash. These are just a few terms I have heard from outsiders used to describe the village of New Haven and its residents. We work too hard inside our community to be perceived this way, and the reason they look at us this way is because what they read in the papers about us. This weekend we had 80 people working around the community. Haven Place worked on their park, Boy Scouts worked on the creek, Leo's, Alpha Kappa Alpha, along with other community members, worked on our village hall, all of them trying to make our community a better place. And now we are here considering marijuana-driven businesses in our community that cannot be near our homes, our churches, our schools. Why exactly is that if they are so great? In being honest, I could care less what people do in the comfort of their own homes. I actually support medicinal marijuana. I really don't care if you use it recreationally. My concern is the negative stigma that this will bring on the village. There is no way to spin this as a positive. We are finally selling homes here again in just a few months, about 15, at about $2,500 in tax revenue. Each, that's about $40,000 in additional annual revenue with no stigma attached to any of that. Do we really want to risk people turning away from these developments for other communities that this is not even a consideration for? Does this benefit outweigh the risk? There is no reason this needs to be rushed. I assure you it can wait for the state to have its guidelines in place, the village to put in its necessary ordinance, and in the meantime, what we can do is we can watch the other communities and learn. I want to remind all of you that you represent the village of New Haven as a totality. You can undo this, and I'd like you to each ask yourself, are you prepared to face your neighbors when the newspapers say that this is where we're heading?
Back here in the back.
My name is Frank Long. I do not live in New Haven. I actually live in Ray Township. I am a worker at Mother Earth Natural Health. Just wanted to comment that New Haven is a beautiful community filled with parks, beautiful scenery. What else? What is bringing in the tax money? What stores do you have here? People want to know, will this scare away people from buying homes?
Yes.
Yes. You don't have traffic coming into New Haven. You don't have grocery runs. This will bring traffic to this town. This will bring people here. I want you to envision something. Imagine you have a mother or a father that needs this medicine. You want to go to 8 Mile? I'm a big guy. I don't want to go to 8 Mile. They know that you're coming in with cash. They know you're coming out with problems. That is a rough neighborhood. This is a small community. People that are obviously very, very communicated. We're not here to hurt anybody. We're here to help everyone. And everybody keeps saying, well, we're the low-hung fruit here in this town. Is anybody ever going to pick that fruit? Is anybody going to be able to make a business here? If you talk to the people that were here for the past 30, 40, 50 years, they'll tell you that this town died when the foundry died. That it became stagnant and stale. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad community, but bring something here that brings money. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're here to help. And if you please, all the board members, anybody that wants to come into the store, please come in. We'd be happy to show you around and show you what we're doing to help the community. Thank you.
Please go fight and put on the ballot in your community.
You gotta get the same respect.
Hi, my name is Steve Rohde. I'm a homeowner in Pembroke. And this development is literally my backyard. Okay? I look at their mess over there, which should be the focus of, on the top, it should be their mess they should be cleaning up, not what kind of new business they're going to be bringing to town. The type of business that we should be attracting is a business that we've got going on right now, which is Lombardo building, Acadia building between Decorah, Pembroke, Amherst, the open vacant lots that need to be developed. This is where we need to be investing. Okay, we should not be worrying about putting a pot dispensary in, because like I said, not only do I have to stare at it with my kids all day long and my wife out my back door, now I'm going to smell the mess too. I'm not down for that. I don't like it. It smells. Makes sense.
I'm going to have the last comment on the agenda.
There's somebody in the back, sir.
Where? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Hello, just quickly, my name is Dawn Estes. I've been here since 2004 and we've had four children in the New Haven schools. I believe, as a resident of New Haven, that this council has an obligation to the residents to do its homework and inform these residents of the benefits and drawbacks of this dispensary before it's put to a vote. You have an obligation to the residents to do your homework and present it to the residents so they can make an informed decision if it does go to a vote. Half the people in this village don't even know that this is happening right now. There were more people at the village meeting for the soccer dome than there are tonight against the soccer dome because of the traffic. That tells me that a lot of people are not even aware that this is happening. I wasn't, and there are a lot of people that aren't on Facebook. That's how I found out about it. Not through village information, not through any petitions or anything else. I found out through Facebook. To me, that's unacceptable. This council has an obligation to the residents of this village to inform them that this is a possibility. Whether it's for or against, people are uneducated, and they need a lot more information before they're given a vote on it. Thank you.
I think now I'm going to...
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I promise I'll make it fast, which is hard for me, so I'll do my best. I'm Gina Walker, I'm president of New Haven Community Schools, and I do live in Lenox Township, and of course I've had 3 children go through this school district, and most of you in this room know me, so I just feel obligated to tell you. I see people that I know and love on both sides of this issue, and I really don't have an opinion either way because I'm not educated enough on the subject to know which way I feel, but what I do know from a PR perspective, when we're still struggling to overcome a very long history of a not so good reputation in our school district, as well as our village, and we both share the same name, that to attract new young families to our school district to keep it moving in the right direction, which we are with scores and our deficits almost gone, and we're doing fabulous things. Our kids are graduating with higher level scholarships than ever before, and we're making such a good stride that I don't think the PR aspect of us putting this in our village is going to help us attract those new families, which do attract new businesses to our town. Do I think eventually we couldn't handle this if we were in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti or a bigger town that's already established that, you know, can spend the dollars associated with needing to control and accommodate those people who are going to need that support from you when they do open their businesses in our town? You know, I don't know that we're there yet. I don't know that we can handle and are big enough to handle the negative perception that will come along with this, whether we want to accept it or not. Our personal beliefs on whether it's good or bad really don't matter at this point. It's how the outside world will perceive what we're doing. And so we're very careful on what we do with our reputation. We try to keep our business in our board meetings and at home instead of putting that out to the public. Because what we need is our town and our community to come together. New Haven Schools and New Haven Village have the same name. And for us to really promote and grow our town and our schools, we need to do that together. This initiative, whether it's good or bad, will not help us in that right now. New, young, nervous mothers like I was, even right now, I know most of you when I'm nervous, you can hear my voice shaking. And I love to talk, so this is amazing to me. But I know new moms, and I know myself when I was a young mother. And I wouldn't have understood this. And that's what we're at the goal of doing right now, is attracting new families that can start with us when they're little and grow with us through their senior year and go on to be very successful, like many of your children in this district have, and so have mine. So I just plead with you to really take care on how you make this decision, because I really feel like we want to support you and we want you to support us, and this decision will affect our ability to attract and retain families. So thank you for your consideration. I think I did good. I need my notes, sorry.
I'm going to take this opportunity to have the last comment on the agenda. You know, I've lived all my whole life. I'm 61, soon to be 62 years old, either within the village limits or just outside the village limits. And growing up, we had a perception as being a foundry town. And it was a town of majority blacks. It was a town that had a school district with low test scores. And these were all perceptions that were unfounded. Yes, it was a foundry town, yeah. Minorities have historically been 23–24% of the population. Test scores have always been, if not somewhere in the middle of the pack, on the upper end of the pack. Okay? As a young man, I chose to stay here. I got married and I stayed here and I raised my family because it was a quiet, peaceful, safe community, in spite of the perception that it was a crime-ridden community. Never has a crime problem. State police, county sheriff reports all support. It is one of the safest communities in the Tri-County area. Okay? But it's always been that perception, you know? And so moving forward, and we fast forward to 2015, yes, you know, we almost had a second landfill, you know, piece of crap, okay? We've had the corruption issue, you know, constant black eyes. So where do we go, okay? Where do we go? Do we go with marijuana as now we're the destination place for buying medical marijuana? I don't think that should be our history. That should be our legacy. I think our legacy should be that we are a family-oriented bedroom community. Okay, we want, you know, and I've been quite open about this, and I've hosted a couple of town hall meetings, trying to get everybody's opinion, trying to see what the pros and cons were, okay? And even at the last month's meeting, I supported putting 3 of the initiatives on the ballot, okay? Because I thought they would be low-key and out of the way, not even visible. You know, transport, processing, and whatever the other one is. But I've had a lot of discussions, primarily with my missus. And she is hell against this. Okay? And I think if we have any chance to change our image, okay? If we have any chance to change our image, that this issue, we need to put it to bed and it should never raise its ugly head again, at least not until the state gets their ducks in a row, okay? I attended graduation and I heard the superintendent talk about, I think our 74 graduating seniors got something like $660,000 in scholarships. Okay, their SAT scores or new testing, you know, they were in the upper, whatever percentage, you know, I'm trying, some of these numbers I know I'm probably getting wrong. But we have a school district, we have young families, we have investors that are looking to invest in New Haven, and we should not jeopardize any of that with something that could be perceived as negative. Because once we allow it in, it's in. Once we allow it in, it's in. And I think we need to control our destiny, and our destiny should be continuing to work with Lombardo and Arcadia and any other investors, and that's where our growth is going to come from. That's where our tax base is going to come from, because it's going to be a more stable, steady, reliable tax base. You know, we had a public hearing tonight about setting our millage, and the gentleman back there in the corner wants to know if we could predict when we could lower our taxes. Well, we can't predict that, okay? But I think houses are a more stable source of income than any business. Whether it's medical marijuana or anything else, I think houses are a more stable source of income. And so with that being said, you know, this council is going to make a decision tonight, okay? And I know they've all been talking, and I'm sure, you know, like me, I've been all over the place with this, okay? But in the long term, and like I said, I'm 62, soon to be 62 years old, so my days, I'm on the downside of my, you know, better years. But my kids live here. I have 8 terrific grandkids, and that's what I want to be behind. A place that they can call home and be proud to say, this is where I live. And I think we should take a hard look at rescinding the votes on the positive side and knocking down the votes that may come up on the other 2 initiatives. And with that being said, we're going to move on, because I don't stay up past 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Thank you, President Gilbert. Thank you very much.
For 8 minutes. What's your pleasure on the May minutes?
Make a motion that we approve the May minutes.
Support. The properly moved and supported that the May council minutes be approved as presented. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The special the May 25th special council meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the special meeting May minutes.
Supported. And probably moved and supported that the special meeting minutes of the 25th of May be approved as presented. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Consent agenda.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Been moved and supported that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Burkholder?
Yes.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Vanderpool?
Yep.
Trustee Haziak?
Yes.
President Milburn?
Yes. Earlier this evening, we held a public hearing to receive and accept comments on the millage rate. The proposed millage rate is general operating mills 9.4875, highway 3.850, cemetery 0.4125, and then there's a separate mill for the fire department, 3 mills. It's a total of 16.75 mills. And so we need to deal with these separately. The general operating, the first 3 are 1, and the fire will be dealt with separately. And this is the same millage rate that we currently levy.
I make a motion that we set the millage rate for the general operating highway and cemetery at 13.75.
Supported.
Been properly moved and supported that we set the millage rate for general highway and cemetery at 13.75. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Burkholder?
Yes.
Trustee Vanderpool?
Yes.
Trustee Haziak?
Yes.
President Milburn?
Yes. The fire mills.
I
3
make
mills.
I make a motion that we set the fire millage at 3.0.
Supported. The properly moved and supported that we set the fire millage at 3.0. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Burkholder?
Yes.
Trustee Vanderpool?
Yep.
Trustee Haziak?
Yes.
President Milburn?
Yes. Mr. Ryan Smith. Contract, I'm sorry. Or Mr. Ryan Smith, I think he sent out a summary of ongoing things. Do you have any questions, concerns? For Mr. Ryan Smith.
Yes. Mr. Ryan Smith, why didn't you respond to Treasurer Whitsett either directly and or to council in a reasonable amount of time shortly after last council meeting when she actually since then repeatedly asked you as to why you're not communicating and what your progress was? I know we got an update, I think it was either yesterday, I believe, from you, and there was communication in a recent week or two, I think it was either from you or Dilbert, but you were asked repeatedly the status and as to why you haven't been communicating with her on such matters. Why not?
You're speaking of the March 15 audit?
Yeah, and I believe it went beyond that, but yes.
Because the treasurer has no executive authority with respect to the audit, it has no oversight authority with respect to the audit. The treasurer's authority and duties are very clear in the Village Act. It'd be inappropriate for me to respond, and it would be disrespectful to this body, to the Board of Trustees, and it'd be disrespectful to the voters who put the trustees in place to oversee the audit and put the president in place to supervise the audit.
Full explanation. So you're saying that other municipalities do not have, the treasurer is hands-off entirely, has no say whatsoever, and does not even communicate with nor receive communication from a third-party auditor, third party that prepares and looks over the information that's going to be submitted to the auditor?
No, I didn't say that at all.
Okay, well that's what I'm asking you.
What type of community you're talking about?
I'm saying
the village has separate laws and rules that say, for example, a township or a city.
So do those separate laws specifically say that the treasurer cannot be involved? And or that you are unable to communicate and respond to such inquiries?
Doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. The village has laws and rules that it needs to comply with. Doesn't matter what the township does, doesn't matter what a city or a county does.
I didn't ask that.
You did.
You were the
That is
one
what you asked.
No, it's not. No, it's
You
not.
asked me to compare, you asked me to compare what the village was
Let's talk
about.
about the Village Act. Let's talk about village laws specifically.
Does the village law prohibit you from responding to a correspondence or explaining within reasonable time either to council or the treasurer who correctly asked you as to the status of such work that you're working on and or what you've already worked on and also what you're continuing to work on and why you haven't been communicating with her? Does it prohibit, does the Village Act prohibit you from responding in communication to the treasurer who's inquired to you and or to work with her on certain matters regarding the work that you've been involved with?
Yes.
Do you know where?
As I explained, the Village Act, Public Act 3 of 1895 is very clear. The authorities and duties are clearly stated.
It's a very large
There's
act.
nothing. Pardon me?
It's a very large act. You don't know the more specific reference.
Actually, it's very small with respect to treasury duties.
Okay, so but you don't know.
Pardon me?
You don't know that specific section, so we can look it up.
Yeah, please.
If you want to look up Public Act 3 of 1895, you will find officer duties. And you can look at the treasurer duties, or I can recite them to you.
Recite them to us, go ahead.
The treasurer's authorization and duties. Number one, first and foremost, are to hold custody of assets, money, to collect money, to levy taxes, to pay bills as instructed by council, and to report receipts and disbursements. The act is very clear. The president is the chief administrative officer. The president has executive authority, supervision over the office.
Done. So, again, the question was, does it prohibit the communication of, you listed what the duties are, but does it prohibit communication of a third party?
Read it yourself. You can read it yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it prohibits it.
It looks a certain way when it's asked of you what you've worked on, what's the status of what you worked on, why the lack of communication, and what's to be expected as you move forward, and why there's no cooperation between you and the treasurer. I know you did respond since, but it was literally just yesterday, and it's been asked of you.
That's incorrect.
And actually, prior to last
That's incorrect.
we're not here, but
Let's deal with the facts. On behalf of the president, I emailed the treasurer a letter on May 2nd, shortly after her communications, inviting her to set up a meeting to discuss those matters. As instructed by the president, that's perfectly appropriate and a good way to handle the situation.
Did you communicate with her since?
I will not play politics. I am laser focused on the accounting and the audit work. That's why it needs to go through the president. Nobody from council asked me about the status. It is fundamentally different to be copied on a communication from the treasurer. It'd be disrespectful and inappropriate. You need to respond to the treasurer before the board of trustees.
So if I may ask, to Trustee Vandergrift's point, if the request for a status update were to come from the trustee, you would be willing and able to then respond to the status update?
Absolutely. And have.
When it pertains to the audit, the correspondence should come through me. Okay? And I, who am primarily responsible for the completion of the audit, I've even taken my hands off it. I have had no correspondence with the auditors because I don't want to give no perception of any thing. And so while the treasurer has made some requests, I'm not so sure that any of her requests have been legitimate. Okay? You know, we invite Mr. Ryan Smith on a monthly basis to give us an update of the status. That in itself should be sufficient of where we're at with the audits. I don't call the auditor, I don't request, I meet with Mr. Ryan Smith probably at least once a month. And he gives me a, update. I'll ask him some questions, how's the audit going? Are you, finding everything that we need to find? There really should be no direct involvement with the audit from the treasurer. And I would say this again, and I said this to the treasurer in an email, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that because a lot of her responsibilities, that's what's being audited. That's what's being audited. A lot of her responsibilities, along with other people in the office, that's what's being audited. So you can't touch it and then,
sure, but I acknowledge that, but also aren't some of Mr. Reinsmith's work and also some of Sandy's work, who I believe has been in cooperation with Mr. Reinsmith on his duties as we pay him $10,000 a month for him, aren't some of their work also being checked over for this audit?
No, I don't think Mr. Reinsmith, he's gathering information for the most part.
Him and Sandy.
Who did the bank records?
Sorry, can I answer that question? You're absolutely correct. The fundamental difference is I do not have custody of assets. I cannot withdraw money from the bank. I cannot make a transfer out of the bank. Fundamental difference. And people that make these laws are really smart, and they incorporate checks and balances. And whenever possible, they should be respected. If you get into a situation where the treasurer, for whatever reason, has to perform executive authority, then delegate and do it properly. There's no need for it. So you talk about other communities whose treasurers may be involved. It's irrelevant. This is a village with very specific laws and rules that need to be complied with, that were established with care and diligence.
Could I ask that the treasurer weigh in?
Please.
To the fact that I can't have any involvement, I think that's completely incorrect. I'm not doing anything but providing them a piece of paper. They're the ones doing the audit. No community hires a third party to come in to gather the information to then give to the hired auditor.
We hired a third party because the records were so screwed up.
I agree with that.
This is not a permanent situation. The previous administration had file boxes all over this building.
Oh, I know. I saw them.
Okay.
And they've worked really hard in the office to get them
Trying to
together
gather
in
everything
proper space.
And Mr. Ryan Smith's primary responsibility is to help gather this information and make sure that A and B are in line and not all over the place. I mean, there's still boxes that we're going through on a weekly basis trying to find a file from 2013 or whatever it may be, because it's all over the place. So yes, at some point in time, we will get to a point where the staff will be able to supply the auditor with the proper information, okay? But I mean, this has been a major undertaking. This has been a major, I mean, our auditors are scratching their heads like, what the heck?
Can I comment, please?
Please.
In a way related to your comment, Mr. President. Rachel, you don't know generally accepted auditing standards. I know, excuse me, I didn't interrupt you. I know how to present these things to the auditor in a way that allows them to do their work, compile the evidence that they need, and draw their conclusions, and then if they are suggesting a conclusion that is detrimental to the village by way of a management comment or an adjustment in the books, I will understand that, and I can address that and discuss that with the auditor, as I did with the March 14th audit, and eliminated 2 or 3 comments that would have been a problem going forward. So it's not copying invoices and sending them off to the auditor. That's not what it is. It's performing the accounting first to try to negate the management comment of poor accounting and poor control over financial statements, and getting revenue straightened out and expenditure straightened out and assets reported in the proper funds. It's much more than compiling records. I'd be happy to sit down with you and discuss all this.
I have asked to sit down with you.
You received an email on May 2nd, you did not respond to it.
I received an email on May 2nd that was basically a cease and desist from talking to everybody in the office.
You're exaggerating and embellishing.
Chris apologized to me for your email.
I wasn't involved with that.
Chris Dilbert has instructed Sandy not to meet with you regarding the topics listed in your email. Alternatively, Chris will meet with you to discuss these topics. Sandy Kazel works under the direct supervision of Chris Dilbert. Any questions, concerns, or comments regarding the duties of Sandy or any other New Haven employee should be taken to Chris Dilbert. What you've done is effectively shut down every line of communication that the treasurer has with the accountant and with you. I have reviewed that public act. Nowhere does it limit communication between a hired contractor and the treasurer. There is a stunning lack of transparency coming from your position. We are paying you over $250,000, $10,000 a month. And what I'm seeing in your duties is assist with water and sewer billing matters. Assist Sandy with accounting matters. not why you were hired. You're making busy work for yourself to keep drawing down $10,000 a month as a steady paycheck. Now, the bottom line is, you're not the only CPA in the county. You're costing us $10,000 a month. You have cost us $250,000. I find your attitude troubling, and I find this lack of transparency unacceptable. There should be a civility from any hired contractor with the village. And I would remind council, it's very easy to put out an RFP for accounting services. Any qualified CPA would be able to handle the duties that Mr. Rhinesmith has done for this community.
Can I respond, Mr. President? I don't know what public act you're talking about. You're talking
The
about
one
the
you
village.
cited, Act 3 of 1895, there is no limitation of communication between hired contractors and the treasurers. It defines their duties. It doesn't say she's not allowed to talk to anyone.
That does not mean it's appropriate for me to respond to her regarding status of the audit.
Can you define the word transparency for me?
You're stretching it. I've been perfectly transparent. I have the privilege of working with some really smart people in the village office, starting with the president, to the accountant, to the water and sewer biller, to the building department, to the accounts payable clerk. I work with these people closely. They know what I do. Ask them about transparency. If they had a problem, they would say it. If the president had a problem with my work, he would say it.
But we have a problem with your attitude. And we have a problem with your cost. And we have a problem with 8 different things that you're doing when you were hired to go through bank records.
If you have a problem with my cost, if you have a problem with my cost, then deliberate it. But you're turning it into politics. This is a political game. And I will
This is a
not
financial
participate.
game.
This is a political game. When you start talking about my attitude or
$250,000.
the verbiage in an email, that's political.
No, that isn't.
I am laser focused on the accounting and the auditing.
You were hired to
Ask me
handle bank
an
records.
auditing question. Ask me an accounting question.
Should I
will not
ask you a
fight
water and
political
sewer
game.
billing question, since you're now involved with that as well?
Oh, there's a lot of them out there. Trustee Pratt, there's a lot of water and sewer issues.
When you hired him without council approval, and when you kept him on after council fired him in September by a 5-2 vote, you were very specific, and we took you at your word, that he was here to help with bank records and to help with audits.
And a major part of this audit had been the water and sewer department.
Okay, but a year and a half later, $250,000 later, $10,000 a month, and I'm seeing busy work.
What you were calling busy work is necessary work. You know, there's F-65 reports that are being filed. There's some other Act 51 reports that are being filed. This is our income, and some of these reports Mr. Rhinesmith has had to file to get our income.
Sandy Kazel is the accountant. By her own admission, she's familiar with those reports.
Sandy is getting up to speed on all this because she is still handling bank recs and things of that nature.
Sandy's been here for 8 months.
8 months.
And by her own admission, she knows these reports.
And she's also very, very busy. Okay?
We need to hire a second, for some mysterious reason, accountant for the village.
Oh, what?
For some mysterious reason, we need like a second accountant for the village. We could do it for less than $250,000 over a year and a half.
You know, you're $10,000 a month, and I put this in an email. I think I copied the whole board in this email.
Make a tenth of that.
You know, while Mr. Rhinesmith is being paid $10,000 a month, I think my comment was, out of all of our professionals, he's the cheapest, but the most important. I'm sure
And Yo and Yo, and Sandy, and Mr. Rhinesmith, we're paying $16,000 a month for accounting services.
Sure.
Where we were paying $6,000-7,000. And when
we were paying $6,000-7,000, and that's why we're 4 audits behind.
Well, that was the company. That was the company. I will admit that we had a problem.
And that's why before all this behind.
But there are other companies. There are other CPAs.
And we received a proposal from a company that was from Marshall, who were going to charge us about 125% of what Mr. Reinsmith was going to, and they were even going to charge us mileage.
Well, when we first interviewed, we put out the RFP, I'm getting my initials confused, for accounting services, we had 2 different firms respond. None of them went over $9,000. And they had CPAs within their firms.
And if you look through the whole proposal, that 9 had a number of
Caveats?
Yeah, that would boost that to...
In certain circumstances, but that's with any accounting firm. But again, I'm questioning the cost. You know me, I'm questioning the cost.
Well, I can appreciate that, and I don't have a problem with that, because that 9,000 that they were proposing would have required this office to be able to provide all the information. But when they came in to actually have to go and find the information and collect it, well, that cost went up significantly.
And a year and a half later, what kind of progress have we made?
Oh, well, John?
Do we see an end to this?
Significant progress.
Do we see an end to this? We were told last fall, December. Then we were told December, well, maybe March. Give us an end date.
You were also told, I can't predict exactly when things will be completed.
So this is ad infinitum.
We're still working on March of 2015, before I even got hired. How would I know? How would I know what would be in there? So what was your question regarding the timeline?
Do we have an end date to this? We've been given 3.
I think, I cannot speak for the audit firm, but I think it's reasonable to expect an audit report by the end of July, for March 15th.
And will this allow us to terminate your services?
That's up to you. I don't know what else you may need done or request.
We have an accountant.
Pardon me?
We have an accountant, village accountant.
Then we got to make sure that we're prepared for the March 16th audit.
Well, then it's the March 17th audit.
And the 17th is due in September of this year.
Well, then it's the 18th audit. When does it stop?
But my whole point is that hopefully Sandy is ready to present the 16th information. But, a lot of that activity took place before she came aboard. And like I said,
it's not just the audit. It's not the only thing my office is working on, which, by the way, includes 3 people.
I'm sorry, for $10,000 a month, you can afford to hire 3 people. For $250,000, you can afford to hire.
That's not the point.
Well, you just made it.
But there's a lot of hours each month.
Each day.
To Trustee Bradmore's point, and I think the main frustration with everybody here on the council is the repeated requests for status updates. I've been an auditor for one of the big 3 for not as many years as you, I'm sure, have been a CPA. But I can't even fathom a customer asking me for a status update on my audit and not being able to respond and just give a simple, yes, we've completed this portion, we're moving on. And that's really all that Treasurer Whitsett was asking for. And whether it comes from our treasurer, or whether it comes from the trustee, or whether it comes from President Dilbert, we just wanted an update of where you were. You've given us deadlines. We keep asking, where are you on it? And that's really all we needed to know was, where is it? And your lack of response is what has frustrated all of us up here.
Can I ask you why you didn't ask me?
I thought it was handled with Treasurer Whitsett asking for us.
It should have came through me.
I explained.
It should have come through me.
And that's
It's been brought up multiple times at different council meetings, and we all expressed concern, whether we voted one way or the other. We all expressed concern about this multiple times. So if it hasn't come through...
The request needs to come to me.
Sure.
Well, then you should have done that. I mean, we have expressed that. Whether we voted one way or the other.
And it's been expressed to the proper individuals that the request needs to come to me.
Well, then you should have done that.
And then I will forward that request.
You should have done that.
We had a weekly request from Treasurer Whitsett. That if it shouldn't have been through treasurer, what's that?
Can I just say, Chris, I did ask you.
And-
I sent you, I'm sorry, I did ask you, what's the status? I'm not hearing back from John. And I have 3 emails that you never even responded.
I sure didn't, and until I got, and then when I finally met with Mr. Ryan Smith, and then he gave me an update on where we were, and then I forwarded that update to you, I think within an hour or so. Because there was still some items that were still hanging
So
out
to
there.
the point of, I'm not supposed to ask him, I did ask you. And you didn't answer my email.
And
Not even a simple, I asked, I'll get back to you. Nothing, you just ignored that.
that's, I wouldn't say ignore, but a lot of emails get lost, and my phone, I probably get 200 a day.
Well, even with the updates, even if we did get them, I went back all the way to June 15th meetings, and every update, and I started quoting things that were said because I went back and pulled all the videos. Starting back in January, there were going to be audits done real close. February or May, we are real close to being finished. June and July, the 2015 will not be that far behind after the 13-14 was done. October, quote, we're real close to being done. November, there was weird things with the auditors. In December's meeting, it said that the 2015 would be done by March of this year. Every update we get is just a real vague, we're close, you know, it's almost done, we're almost there,
That's the best thing I can do. I give you the best information that I can. I cannot anticipate every request for information from the auditors.
I mean, I assume you've been doing this for a while. I mean, why, you could pretty much at least get within a couple of months an estimate of when something might be done.
No, not necessarily. I don't know if I need to get information from Treasury to answer a question about a subsequent receipt. So now I'm waiting from Treasury. I'm waiting for Treasury to respond. I don't know when I will get that information. So if I have to wait a month, I have to wait a month. I don't know when the auditors will be able to look at it and do their audit work and then respond with follow-up questions or ask for additional information. I give you the best information that I can. So that you just went through some dates. I don't even know what year you were talking about or which audit you were referring to.
These were the 15, 16, up until 2014. This is the last year.
But the March 14 audit was difficult.
Yeah,
Extremely
I got that from the March 16 was supposed to be a lot easier.
I'm sorry.
And then 14, 15 was supposed to be a lot easier because of the efficiencies of the previous year weren't there.
And it has been.
But now my question is, now that we're in an audit here that wasn't 13, 14, correct me if I'm wrong, based on what you said on previous thing, you prefer to put things in a full packet to send to the audit, not piecemeal, right?
The auditors prefer it.
Okay.
As much as possible. And
So,
sorry, but they request that it be uploaded to a portal that they've established, which that in itself can take some time to whatever it takes, scan and things like that. So the auditors prefer that it be submitted at once. So this last request of theirs, which was provided to me on April 3rd, whatever it was, 15 items, whatever it was completed. The last few items sent, I think a week ago yesterday, so that would have been June 5th. So that was 2 months. Longer than we all would have hoped, but given the situation, given the difficulty with some of these items, audit time, it's not that long.
Okay, so now my question is, if you present it to them that way, and you've been doing this a while, and you know what they want and how they want it, when you send out that packet to them, why still does it take, they come back and we need more, we need more, we need more? If what you sent them was what should be in an audit.
Well, because they may see something that requires additional evidence or support, they may suggest an adjustment that I disagree with.
What's
Things
an
like this.
example of an adjustment you would disagree with?
Sorry?
What's an example of an adjustment that you would disagree with?
Oh, how about an allowance for doubtful accounts in water and sewer? Something like that.
And what effect would?
Well, we have some water and sewer deficit elimination plans that could be effective, so we might take that into consideration. Or it could just be flat out wrong, and they can be interpreting the information wrong. I'm just giving you one example.
Sorry about that.
Hold on. Or now, for example, they're talking about not recording unbilled water and sewer receivables for the month of March 15. I disagree. And it's significant. So we'll talk about it.
Now that we got past the 13-14 audit, which is the one that was the mess, and everything is being accounted for more accurately, is that how you describe it then?
I would say the records are better organized.
Okay, so now this is something that Sandy, that we hired as a village accountant, take on some of these responsibilities to get these audits done, because it won't be as difficult, as time consuming.
Yeah, I think so. So I don't know if you're specifically speaking of March 16, March 17. I'm not sure exactly what you're. What's that?
Whatever's not done, farthest back.
So the records and the accounting for March 16 is in much better shape than March 15 and March 14. Should be far fewer complications.
So it's something that the village staff currently has the ability to do, to have it completed.
Sandy can certainly help out, and I think to the point where my involvement would not be needed as much.
Because I'm in the same boat as Trustee Pridemore. I'm sitting here looking at $227,500, and we have one audit done. I mean, it was a mess of an audit, but I see the 13-14 done, and that's all we have really to show for it.
I disagree. There's accounting done in those years.
In terms of audits, that's what we're going
Okay, well, but the money that you have paid me includes accounting work, which was significant. I don't even think the audit work is happening. The accounting is probably, it's probably more than the audit, working with the auditors. Advisory services, consulting, helping with budgets, preparing F-65s, amending F-65s because of adjustments in the audit.
Now, again, are those things that can be done by the treasurer, the accountant, the clerk?
I don't know, you have to ask them. I don't know if they've prepared it before or not.
Because the economy just more regular, more efficient now, there will be much fewer adjustments. When the 13-14 was completed, I mean, there were so many adjustments that had to be made with bank rates and everything else. I
disputing the 13, 14, that, from everything that I've heard and seen, that was a mess of a year. But from this point going forward, now that we're past that,
We still gotta get past 14, 15. We have to get past 14, 15.
yeah, past 13, 14, 14, 15, yeah.
And that's what they're currently working on, 14, 15. We have to get past 14, 15.
Now, the 13, 14, does the state still have to, what's the status of that? Is that finalized, is it done, complete? Or does it have to come to vote? What,
No, it doesn't have to come to vote, but there were deficiencies noted that have to be cleaned up. So we have to respond to the state with respect to cleaning up those items, which I have been working with the office. Pardon me?
Currently or before?
Currently.
So 13, 14 is even not done.
The audit deficiencies need to be fixed. And 2 of them are completed. 2 of them are ongoing issues with respect to budget violations and deficits. A third, you could argue, is also ongoing because it relates to poor accounting control and poor control over financial reporting. It's not something you just write a paragraph and say, here's our response. You have to improve those issues, which is why it's important to try to reduce the number of adjustments in March 15, March 16, March 17. I wasn't here during the year ending March the 15th.
No, you were June of 15. I mean, we're going on 2 years now, and now I hear that 13, 14 isn't even completed.
June of 15, I was not asked to help out with the audit.
The following month it was.
I don't know exactly, sir, if you have it, but it was not.
Yeah, August.
Any other questions?
Just to clarify, well, I mean, I guess a motion could be made either way, but let's say there is no motion made or supported, I should say. His contract is at least put on hold, let's say, effective today, correct?
There's no fact that it is month to month, we agreed to that.
Correct. So if there is no motion made tonight that is approved by majority council, his services to us are discontinued condition, temporarily at least.
I'm not so sure if it goes to the end of the month or the end of last month.
Could I comment, please?
Yeah, sure.
We bill hourly. We don't bill a flat rate.
But it's not to exceed 10,000.
Correct. And I write off time every month. So if you fire me today, I don't work for the village tomorrow.
Right, but he's saying that if we don't pass it today, we might still carry on your services based off of a motion made previously.
I'm sorry, say again?
No, I just want clarification. Yes or no, maybe our attorney can clarify, or if we have the language pulled up in the minutes.
What's your question?
If council doesn't approve a motion that's probably about to be made, and or if it's not supported or it's supported and it doesn't get a majority vote, are his services immediately discontinued, or do we still have a remainder left over from a motion from previous?
Oh, but his last month's motion, you say?
It was to June 13th.
Okay, so it should be not through, is it through? Through?
June 13th. June 13th. That's $10,000 cap.
Two or through?
Through the month of June 13th. June 13th.
Oh, through June 13th. Okay, so it would be terminated after that.
other questions?
I'll make one more comment. Hopefully it doesn't drag it out, but I'm going to be voting no, but my reasoning is it's not an indefinite, you know, perhaps next month it can change. I'd like to see some guarantees, some expression, public or privately, that there's going to be increased communication, transparency, and perhaps let's schedule some workshops so we don't have to take an hour plus of all the residents' time to discuss stuff that we should already hopefully have answers to when we come to our monthly meeting.
Well, you know, I would agree with that, but I would also say that, yes, we shouldn't have to take an hour because while these audits are still outstanding, this right here should be a non-issue. But remember, this board wants to make this an issue, and like I've expressed, Mr. Ronnie Smith charged this building the least amount of all of our professionals, and the work he does is the most important. The work he does is, the lack of that is what can get us in trouble with the state of Michigan. Okay? So if you guys want to shut them down, feel free. But somebody's going to do the audits, and somebody's going to provide information, and the state of Michigan will send somebody in to take care of it. And bill us for it. And we won't have no say-so in the building.
Could I, actually, I apologize for this because I thought my last one was my last remark, but she is in the audience and she's sat here patiently for quite some time, and I don't even think I'm going to agree necessarily with what she said, but it would be important to hear from her. Could we allow our
Sandy, come on up.
Hi.
Oh, no, I'm You've heard all that's been said. What's your take?
What my take is?
What is your responsibilities? Where do they overlap?
My responsibility, as I've always said, is the day-to-day operations and to fix the day-to-day operations and make sure the books are being expensed correctly and making sure that accounts are being calculated and water and sewer billing is being calculated on a timely manner and things are getting put in the system properly. That's my goal and that's what I've been doing. We found a lot of issues going forward, and we're trying to fix those issues on the day-to-day operations. So it's not been a clean slate either. There's a lot of things that we need to do with protocol, we need to do with job responsibilities and stuff like that to make sure that everything is running smoothly. We've been on a big learning curve trying to figure out what's going on in the office to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. There's a lot of people in it that don't even know what a chart of accounts is, and that's been an issue, and it's been an ongoing issue, and I've been trying to rectify it, and so is everybody else, trying to make sure that things get put in the proper, and then generally expect to set the financial situations, whatever, GACP is what it's called. So, my take on it, if John Wright-Smith is told this is his last day, stupid move. We've got momentum. We knew it was going to take a long time. I've heard from the council that, yeah, we knew that it was going to probably take to the end of this calendar year to be able to get this audits done. We don't have the luxury of predicting when the other auditors are going to do their work. I mean, he has been giving the information, and there's managerial notes is what he's been talking about what has to happen with the books and everything that's going on. So if we lose him, we lose all our momentum again.
Have we, you're the council, hopefully you know this. Otherwise I'd ask him, but you should be able to answer. Up to this point, have we been getting billed as a village by Mr. Wright-Smith the maximum, the $10,000 per month?
Yes, except for last month, I think it was $6,000. So I mean, we're sure. The goal is for me to take over most of it and then have an audit come in and take care of the books. That is the goal. But until we get caught up with these books, I don't know how I can take care of the day-to-day operations and try to do the audit and the past kind of stuff.
that's what his professional background is to do, okay? My professional background is to do day-to-day operations, to get things up and make sure that the reporting is correct. So when we do have audit, I can submit to the auditor the books with adjusting entries that need to be done at the accruals and stuff like that, make sure the stuff is getting done. So my opinion is if we lose Mr. Ryan Smith, we're just going to go back in the hole again, and we're going to be back behind again. Any other questions?
I was going to, at the end of the agenda, call from the table, I was going to bring to the table a suggestion that we formulate a committee to deal with professionals in contracts. Could you guys hear this on a monthly basis? I deal with it on a daily, hourly basis. Okay, I'm on 500 other things. Okay, and whether it's the attorney, the accountant, or we're awarded a contract to someone, I need to spread the pain. Okay, and if you guys are in favor of it, like I said, at the end of the meeting, call from the table, I was going to suggest that we formulate a committee to deal with professionals on a regular basis. Okay? And I've already talked to Mr. Chandler about it, and he's in full support of it. But it's just something that, we probably should do, because like I said, we have contracts that we're awarding, and we're not doing the proper homework, and we have professionals that we have to deal with. And like I said, I don't want you guys just to think that it's me, okay? Because I see what Mr. Ryan Smith goes through, okay? And while I don't answer everybody's email, just assume that I received them. I think I received 7 texts from you today, and I haven't read them yet.
It was all in one.
Okay,
Simply because it's long.
I just can't. We'll eventually get to them, I'm sure. Okay. But it's just a fact of the matter, that there's just a lot that goes on that.
We're a small office. We don't have the resources to deal with all the problems that are existing. We need that professional service to help us.
And of course, I try to spread some things over to Sandy, and then I will overwhelm her with something, because then I will distract her from what her primary responsibility is. I don't want to say you guys have no clue, but sometimes I don't think you have a clue.
As the newest member on the village board, I would definitely say that I'm willing to take on more pain. So feel free.
I'm going to strongly suggest that we extend Mr. Ryan Smith's contract another month, because we don't want to lose the momentum that we have gained. Out of all the things that are happening, this is one issue that we cannot take a step back on.
Would you like to specify the duration?
I'm fully in support of a month to month. And we'll continue to require him to come here and give us an update. But we don't want to take a step back. We finally got this train moving, and we need to keep it moving.
Is that your motion?
I'll put that in form of a motion. We extend Mr. Ryan Smith's contract for another month, not to exceed $10,000.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that Mr. Ryan Smith's contract be extended for another month, not to exceed $10,000 in billing. Any questions on the motion?
I have a question. In lieu of us approving the contract for another month, can we get assurance that if a trustee instead of a treasurer were to ask on what the status is, because we are curious, or we're wanting an update, that we do get such a response.
Send it to me.
All right, can we agree that that will be presented to you, that we can get an update?
Send it to me.
It's obvious that a lot of us are very concerned or interested in what the status is, and so I think it's just the right thing to do.
And I think I will ask this of you, that it's okay that I share the request and the response.
Yes.
The only comment I have on it is, I'm not doubting anybody's ability or whether or not the work is important or not. I'm just looking at $250,000 per audit. I know we need to
Put
do
a
it,
time frame
but
on that.
you can't bankrupt yourself trying to get these run right. Then the audits will be real easy.
The amount of money that has been gained.
Yeah, I called the Treasury, the Department of Treasury, to find out what they withhold without these audits, and it's the statutory revenue sharing. It comes out to about $77,000 a year.
Just withholding.
Paying $120 to get $77.
No. Just the withholding. Don't forget about the reports that are filed that also generates money.
From the statutory, yeah.
Okay, if you don't file the report, then you don't get nothing. Okay?
Yeah, you forfeit that. That's happened once in 4 years.
Huh?
That's happened one time in the 4 years.
But it's been money that has been recovered, okay? But it's still necessary things that are required by the state of Michigan. Whether we get money or not, we still got to do audits. Now, one thing we should consider in the future, and this may or may not be a good idea, is that because of our size, we can get by with a audit every 2 years. Then again, that may be a worst case scenario, I don't know.
We have to have clean audits for so long
Before we can do that. And I think all these audits are going to be clean. Primarily because of the work that he's doing. Okay, any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Capoli?
No.
Trustee Vanderpool? No. Trustee Hazia?
Yes.
Trustee Kramer?
No.
Trustee Zilmer?
Yes. Motion failed. Spark contract, fiscal year 18. Did everyone receive the smart contract? Fred, can you and Jeff please come up? I'm sure you have a copy of it.
Good evening. For some of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Jeff White. I run your emergency medical services in the community. We're owned by Lennox Township, and so therefore owned by all of you as voting residents of that community. We have a station right here on 27 Mile Road that I think most of you are well aware of. And we also operate through a partnership with SMART, 9 small community transit vehicles. They look like small airport shuttle buses. And for all intents and purposes, what those vehicles do is take folks to kidney dialysis, physical therapy, oncology appointments. In the village of New Haven last year, we brought about 4,000 rides on those vehicles alone. By comparison, the entire EMS that covers, just in New Haven. Our whole EMS system only provides 4,000 rides a year. So just in New Haven, we did about 4,000 rides just on those smart related vehicles. So they're getting well used here. We've been doing that since 1999, and it's grown a bit every year. We've had good luck in funding for that in the New Haven area by not having to talk to you about these municipal and community credits that you receive from SMART that come into your community that you've used in the past for some recreational kinds of trips. We haven't had to ask you for any of those funds. And the reason we haven't had to ask you is because through the Federal Transit Administration, there have been some grants available for communities that have certain populations of seniors, disabled persons, and some diversity in the makeup of their communities, that we were able to grab those grants and use that to operate your service. Like so many other grants, federally and otherwise, those grants have dried up. They just don't exist. This last year, they dried up to the tune of $90,000. And so, this year, for the first time, when you received your municipal and community credit contracts, we were left in a position to say, we need a little help to keep this operating. These municipal and community credit contracts that come from SMART are dollars. They call them credits. Fred can explain to you maybe why that is if you care to know, but it's basically funds. They come out of a millage that your residents pay to SMART that gets voted on every 3 years. And they come from Act 51, basically gasoline tax funds. And those monies go to SMART, and SMART doles out a portion of them back to your community. Like I say, in the past, you've used them mostly for recreational type trips or trips for seniors for recreation. But you haven't used near all of them. Most years, you've left a whole bunch just on the table that is unused. So this year, what we're suggesting is that, and so we can keep serving those 4,000 riders that are using your service now, that you allow us to use a portion of those funds for the continuation of the little SMART buses, and that you allow us to capture some previous year funds, which are basically sitting in a position at SMART that might be recaptured by SMART if they don't get used for something here in your community. And so that's kind of the broad overview. I know you've had a very long meeting so far, and so I try to keep it as brief and an explanation as possible as to what this is and how it works. For the exact numbers, I'm going to turn things over to Fred because he kind of monitors that. My job is to operate those buses, get your riders on them in your community, and get them to their appointments and other needs. And Fred's job is to help us through this contract and handling the dollar section. So I'll turn it over to him.
If you don't mind, what I'd like to do is just hand out for everyone here. This has been updated since we met. Because there was some outstanding, just maybe a couple there.
Yeah, I understand we just received the reimbursement for those last 2 items.
Okay. So that table there, basically the municipal and community credits every year is in the amount of a little over $11,000 per year. And the table that I provided to you shows you the current year's contract at the very right-hand column, not the total column, but the last to the right-hand column is this year, fiscal year 18, but you'll see there are also dollars billed from fiscal year 17 and 16 that have not been utilized, as well as a little bit of a balance from FY 2015 as well. And so that there's just a tally there of the different pots, the municipal versus these credits and those total dollar amounts that are there. So that's a quick summary, and if anybody has any questions,
These monies here, these figures, these are smart, and as you refer to them, credits, correct?
Correct.
And they can only be used, to my understanding. If not, what is the process of, and have we ever used them as such? Can they be converted into anything other than the SMART program? Can they be used to pave roads? Can they be used to...
Absolutely not.
So they're specific to SMART. It is what it is. We can't use it for anything else anyway. We've left some on the table previously. We're trying to recoup that, give it to you guys so that you guys can service us.
Basically, these are dollars that we make available to local communities for local community types of operations.
To use SMART.
To use Transportation. It has to be transportation specific. So just to give you a couple different examples. Down in the city of Warren, Parks and Recreation Department runs a very large senior disabled man program. Up here in the New Haven, Lenox, Richmond area, because the communities are smaller, the dollar amounts obviously are smaller. So the program that we started with Richmond Lenox CMS goes back to 1998. When Jeff approached me and said, we've got a couple of these dollars, we have a demand, and what's the possibility we can create some sort of program by pooling the various communities. So that's the origin of it. These dollars come out every year, have to be used for transportation. In the case of Richmond Lenox EMS, they're our partner. We provide them the vehicles, we maintain them, but these are operating dollars to pay for the insurance, the fuel, the driver's wages, etc.
And, I'm sorry, go on.
Okay. In regards to transportation, definitely not to try to take away from what you guys need for operating expenses and so on and so forth, but for transportation, considering the not so distant failure of the sinking fund for schools, would the transportation be able to help alleviate some transportation needs for a school system?
Public transportation dollars cannot be used for school bus transportation. There's very specific pots for school bus transportation. So when you're talking about providing transportation to students to get to and from school, that's not something
well, maybe not for a school, but what about for like sporting events, transportation on the team?
What has happened in the past, I know that you guys have chartered bus trips at times. As long as those trips are open to the public, and there's a process that I've provided to Sandy and Chris about how to, and I think I provided to you as well, in terms of they have to be open to the public. So you can't say, okay, on this day we're going to take this group of people, on a trip. But if there's, hey, we want to charter a bus to go on this trip, and it's open to the public, then you can do that. But that's different than school bus transportation.
And each person that's available from the public that wants to capitalize on the opportunity that's made available to the public has to come in and sign themselves?
It's a first come, first serve expectation. Open to the public, publicly advertised, so everyone has an equal opportunity to get it.
Say a coach wants to say, well, my team of 15 would like to go. He can't sign off for all 15 people, right? They have to.
It should be open to the public, is what it should be.
That's the company line.
It should be open to the public.
There's if you could explain briefly the difference between municipal credits and the community credits. I don't know the difference.
Municipal credits, those are state dollars that we're responsible for administering throughout southeast Macomb, Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. They are strictly used for operating expenses, so you can't go out and buy equipment, you can't buy a bus, you can't buy things like that. The community credits can also be utilized for that. There's a little more flexibility. Municipal credits, if you were to charter a bus, services have to be operated within, again, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb County. The community credits, if you are going to do a recreational trip for seniors, for example, and you want to go to the Franklin Woods, you could use community credits. You cannot use municipal credits to do that. So that's really the main difference. They're both operating dollars. You have some ability to use the community credits for capital dollars, but there's more flexibility in terms of going to greater distances with outside of Wayne, Oakland, Macomb.
So we've met, and I think we agreed that all prior municipal credits and community credits for 15, 16, 17, and part of 18.
That's what we discussed. What we agreed was that you would bring it to the council, and I would do as you direct me to do.
I got some notes somewhere, but because we were just going to hold back. Sandy, you're still here.
Fiscal year 18, we were holding back on the community credits of 6653.
The whole 6653?
Yes.
That's my recollection. Yes.
Okay. Because that's going to cover the Tiger trip. I think we have one coming up Thursday, and then one in July. So that will help cover our stuff that we've scheduled already. Okay, but the prior years and all of the municipal credits, we'd be willing to transfer over to Lenox. If I'm, Jeff, you got a look on your face there.
No, I was just letting support a friend, yeah. I think probably 5 or 6 times during our meetings with the president, I probably said to him, I don't want to take away your recreational trips. I made that very clear. This isn't about not giving people Tigers games. I know you had a real successful trip, I think, out to Michigan Adventures and things in the summer. I think those things are incredibly important for communities. I think that recreation, those senior trips, the things we can do for the schools, we have to keep doing all those things. The issue here is simply there's money left on the table with the loss of some of the grant dollars that we've received. We would like to recapture that and continue, providing service at today's levels. And so really that's what this is all about. So I don't want anybody in the community to think we're here taking your money that you're doing other kinds of things with, because that's really something I'm very sensitive to. I've been around for a long time, and I don't want to do anything that would hurt all of us.
Yes.
I make a motion to, is there a specific word? I didn't get it. They give them whatever they want.
Let me write that. Don't get that.
Everything on this, with the exception of the fiscal year 18 community grants.
Oh, should I and specify each dollar amount? So what would be, I make a motion to transfer, would that be the proper word? Transfer Village of New Haven municipal credits in the amount of $4,560 for fiscal year 2016, $4,560 for fiscal year 2017, $4,560 for fiscal year 2018, as well as community credits in the amount of $2,057 for fiscal year 2015, $6,653 for fiscal year 2017, $6,653 for fiscal years 2017, and $6,653 for fiscal year 2018.
No.
What?
No, not 18.
Not 18.
Not that, just right there.
Everything you said prior to these.
Okay.
Oh.
Everything prior to that. To, and where are we transferring to the next months?
Richmond Lennox.
You're authorizing me to release funds to him for his operating expenses for services in New
Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's the motion.
No worries.
Second.
Been properly moved and supported that the smart credits, as stated in the motion, be transferred to the Richmond Lennox
EMS ambulance community transit service.
Any questions on the motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Or is it money?
I'm sorry, did I just ask a question on the motion?
If it's money, it's got to be a roll call, right?
Transferring money. We're transferring, not spending. Go ahead, be safe. Make it a roll call. Roll, please.
Trustee Prymore?
Yeah.
Trustee Pacoli?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Absolutely.
Trustee Kezia?
Yes.
President Milburn?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm going to leave on the back table just some information on the service with phone numbers there on it, and folks can pick it up as they Thank you all.
Thank you. And just so you know, I'll prepare addendums because what we have are contracts in place from those prior years. I'll prepare addendums to provide to Chris, and that'll authorize me to release the funds to the transfer. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. GLWA water rates. I put a summary in front of you, and it kind of gives you a brief rundown on the new rates that are being proposed. And fortunately, the Village of New Haven based on the decrease of the fixed monthly rates, and even with the minor increase in our per million cubic feet rate, we should be able to hold our current water rates at the current levels. But then talking with Sandy, we're definitely going to revisit this within the second quarter of the year, because there's something. Some of the information just seemed kind of foggy and vague that we were receiving. And it just, I'm not sure what it was. So effective July, because that's when the new rates would go into effect, would be in July. So our current water rate will go unchanged. Our sewer rates. Our fixed sewer rates actually went down a little bit. But they've come up with a way of calculating where we don't get charged actually by flow. It's a 5-year average. And while our flow has actually decreased 24%, okay, of course our fixed rate didn't go down 24%. Okay, so there's some other charges that are being passed on to the residents or to the customers. In the Great Lakes Water Authority, there was a 10% increase in a fee that they wanted to pass it on this year, and Macomb County was the only one to vote against the rate increase, and they actually agreed that they would pass on 5% this year and 5% next year. But just the basic information that you have in front of you kind of shows you what's going on, some projections that Sandy has put together. You know, she's fairly confident in our revenue. But once again, we will keep an eye on it and visit it sometime in the second quarter. And one of the things I had mentioned earlier about a professional committee or contract committee, I was at a mid-meeting yesterday, and one of the things that the Drain Commissioner's office now does is that before a contract is let out, all bidders go before this committee. And they pretty much go over item by item and make sure that the bidders are bidding on the actual items. And there's nothing hidden, nothing unforeseen. And just recently, they were in the process of awarding the bid to the company that was going to do the liner on the sinkhole. And the low bidder was a Macomb County-based company. And when they went through this whole process with this committee, going over and asking questions and going over all the particulars, this area is 57 feet where they have an opening, where they will have an opening to put this piece of equipment in place. This particular company is going to rent this equipment from a company out of Texas. And the specifications require a 62-foot opening. Because they were having this conversation prior to awarding the bid. And the bid was about $500,000 less than the next highest bidder. But they were going to need 3 to 4 weeks additional time to excavate an opening large enough. And of course, they're trying to get a 15-mile road put back together before snow falls. And between the excavation costs and some other things, they figured that the $500,000 that they were going to save on the low bid was not worth it. So they awarded the contract to the second highest bidder, who owned their piece of equipment that would fit in this 57-foot opening. But it's because they had to go through this committee and sit down and actually talk about the particulars. That's how they discovered that the low bidder was not the best bidder. And that's why I was going to suggest that we do something on that same line. That before we award a contract, that we get all the bidders together and we have this conversation. With that being said, moving on. Unless you have any questions on the water and sewer rates.
Did they mention anything about the cost for the interceptor project?
Their guesstimate rate, I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
No, the sinkhole?
Yeah.
Their guesstimate is $25 per household per year.
Oh.
That's the new guesstimate.
Our cost for this year is $29,000.
That we've already calculated our hard costs into these new rates.
And that total for that is still 566, our portion of that.
Yeah, it's 566.
That was the guesstimate.
Yeah,
That was
they were
their
still
guesstimate.
holding to that?
They haven't supplied any new numbers. They just sold the bonds, so that's all moving forward. And I think there are 30, I think all the steel is in place to hold back the earth. And I think they're currently about 30 feet into the ground. And they still got, I think, another 30 to go. Just excavating and hauling away dirt right now.
Could you just reiterate those numbers again? 29,000 for the village, is per year?
I'm sorry.
29,000 per year for the village? Sorry.
Yes, well, this year is what they demonstrate, right? It might change next year. Depends on what they get on bonds, interest and bonds.
And the actual rate that they got the bonds for actually was better because of the Sterling Heights lawsuit, which held up the sale of the bonds for a couple of weeks. We actually did this. The rate that's gone. That doesn't happen now. Item E. I sent you a letter that I was sending to our engineers, Fowler Khan and Associates. And I am asking council's permission to replace our engineering firm. Well, I think I probably have expressed some concerns, and I had a conversation with Fowler Khan. And he, while I say he understands, I'm sure he would like to keep our services. But I think it's time for us to go in a different direction. There's, once again, we spend a lot of money, and I'm not sure we're getting all that we're paying for. And I will leave it at that. I won't get particular.
It's been a while since we put out an RFP for engineering services anyway, right?
I think they've been our firm for at least 10. Marcus, do you have any idea?
Yeah, about
10, 12, 14?
14.
So it's a good chance to find out if we're getting the most bang for our buck anyway.
So if the council's okay with that,
should I make a motion to post an RFP for engineering services? Is that what you want me to do?
let's make the motion to terminate our service first.
Okay. I make a motion to terminate our services with Foswell County Engineering.
Sorry.
The property moved and supported that I will send out a formal letter terminating our services with Foswell County Engineering. Talking to Foswell, they will see through to completion projects that are already underway. So say the stormwater project, they will see that through to completion. So whatever they have their hands on right now, they will see through to completion. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
Trustee Giesiak?
Yes.
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Meissen?
Yes.
Trustee Randall?
Yes.
President Zimmer?
Yes. We don't clap, okay? We've heard enough clapping today.
Waited a long time.
Item F, sidewalk replacement. We have, oh, I'm sorry.
Make a motion to post an RFP for engineering services for the second.
Who's going?
We have in place.
What's that?
I think we were going to ask who's
Yeah,
going.
yeah, who's going to put the RFP together?
We have one in place.
Oh,
And it'll be a public committee. That RFP will go to this committee first to make sure it addresses all the issues that we have. No, not necessarily. No. I'm sorry, Pryor, I'm sorry. You were doing something.
RFP, I make a motion to post an RFP for attorney services.
And it was supported?
Yeah.
Okay, it's been probably moved and supported that we post an RFP for engineering services. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Pryor?
Yes.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Cranicle?
Yep.
Trustee Gaziak?
Yes.
President Dorman?
Yes. Sidewalk replacement. We have an ordinance in place that requires residents to maintain their sidewalks. This is a difficult process. We talk to other communities, the way they handle it, they pretty much divide their community up into sections. And they will go out and they will mark all the bad sections in that section. And they will bid it out to a single contractor, which typically would get a better price. If you were going to just have 2 sections, it's going to charge you a small fortune, whereas if you and you and you were all, you know. And they bid it out, and they have the work done, then they send a bill to the resident for their portion of that work, and they're given a time frame to pay it. And if they don't pay it, then it's put on their taxes. Or we can do it the old-fashioned way, send out individual notices, give them 30 days to make a repair, and if they don't, then we go in and make the repair. So we need to come up with a game plan that we can actually do every year. And if it's dividing this community up into sections, I've looked at the map with Lori, and the newer communities are probably the last 2 or 3 that will be done. But there's parts of the old village, particularly on Clark Street and Haven Ridge, that are just absolutely terrible. The sidewalks are dangerous. And my thought was, do we want to, the only thing about doing it in sections is that the village itself would have to front the money. So if we hired a contractor and the work was going to cost us 50 grand, we have to pay the contractor and recoup our money back from the residents. Or do we want to go the old-fashioned way, go out there with a can of orange paint and send out letters?
I think in all fairness to the residents, that it would be good for sending out the letter at the very least. And there is the possibility that maybe even the residents might band together and contract it out amongst themselves on maybe one street, which would then lessen our upfront costs as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I would hope they would get together and say, hey, I got 4 squares, I got 6 squares, and I got none. Yeah. Okay.
Or would it be possible, I don't see a lot of residents getting together in every neighborhood. Would it be possible to get a hold of a firm, get a bulk quote, send a letter to the residents and say you have an opportunity to replace these squares for $50 a piece, or do it yourself, and then we can offer them a reduced rate, and then just put an end date. You got to respond within a week, so we're not hovering. And in that way, we can offer the best of both worlds. If you got a brother-in-law that does cement and he can give you a good rate, that'll be your option. But you know, just maybe kind of see if we can get them to reduce the price. It has to be done.
I wrote about trustee benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
So if we can get calls from contractors, some cement companies to say, hey, if we can get you a contract for 100 squares, what was it cost? Yeah. Kind of figure out.
It's going to be much cheaper when that cement truck comes out full.
Yeah.
So who's going to be tasked with making the list?
Oh, we will. DPW will. Yeah. Yeah, they'll go out, they'll mark the squares and take down the addresses. And so if you see a lot of orange X's, that's what it is. Hart Street paving, one thing we need to take a look at is, and I had some preliminary numbers on the cost. Hart Street, based on our pager study, is the worst section of road in the village. The major local funds, Sandy, help me out here.
I'm sorry?
Major local funds
Yes.
are healthy enough to put on, if we decide, Hart Street paving.
Define healthy. Have we got an RFP and how much that would cost us? Depends on the cost.
I think we talked about it. It was it depends on the drainage, between 125 and 225. Between major local, I thought we said that we got our numbers crossed.
I don't remember this conversation,
Here, come to the front because you've been distracted by there.
sorry. Great. 2 times the money.
Major local
Yes.
and highway improvement.
Okay.
Give me some general fund balance.
Okay, let's see.
Totals.
Totals? With the highway fund, we're dealing with STE.
Yeah, so let's deal with major and local.
Major local, I think. Stop.
Can you pull it up?
There's only one from
Fund balance.
I also have the summary that I sent you through.
But you know, we haven't got our money yet, so I'm not sure. So our budget is saying $198,000 we get for major a year.
Then we're talking about current fund balance.
Right here.
No. Fund balance isn't too loud on here, so I can't tell. I'll have to come back with you because I can't tell from this.
I'll deal with this.
Basically, when you get information back to them, because this does not reflect what the fund balance is in this report. Okay. I know that we had $198,000.
Yeah, I'm not talking about income, I'm talking about fund balance.
Yeah, I know, but
I thought it was over $1 million.
No.
Once we do find out what was the,
That we may want to take on this project, which also would include 500 feet of sidewalk on the only stretch of Clark Street of the village that was all part of the project.
do we have an idea of what these sidewalks will cost?
You were saying 125 to 225, right?
It was $10,000. The sidewalk itself was approximately $10,000.
Is that just the small patch west of the tracks?
Yeah, that 500 feet or whatever it is. Yeah.
It's the same grant, yes.
No, but the street redo and the sidewalk was part of the same price that I got.
Yeah.
When they did the Main Street project, some of the streets like Pasco also had some sidewalks that were removed or trying to replace those too.
Yeah, there's a stretch just on the side of that building.
Yeah, the older one, yeah. So we could talk about PTA.
Yeah, now they're using it for parking the trailers there.
Yes. Okay.
I don't have the information.
We would table the Park Street until we get the numbers right. Permit bonds. It is strongly suggested, and even the state of Michigan strongly suggests that municipalities stop collecting bonds on building permits. They really serve no purpose.
Could you explain this? Could you explain what they are?
Yeah, when you pull a building permit, I think you pay a bond. There's a scale. I pulled a building permit, the actual permit cost me $135, and I had to post a $400 bond. And when you meet all your inspections, you get that money back. The state of Michigan is strongly suggesting that municipalities, because they really don't, there are people who have walked away from their projects. They have walked away from their bonds because they just forget about them, or, hey, you know, so what, it's $300, you know, so what? And we just had to go through, I think we just wrote off, or, I don't know, $30,000-$40,000 and forfeited bonds that some were 10, 15 years old, but they were still on our books.
Are those in a village ordinance?
Ordinance.
Thank you. Anywhere where we would have to amend an ordinance?
Good question. I'm not sure. So we'll have to check that. But if not, we would like to stop collecting bonds. So we will verify that it's not part of the ordinance, and if it is, then we'll bring that amendment back. Mr. Addis, you have anything for us?
I wouldn't dare after this late at night, but no, I have nothing new, and I'll answer any questions that you may have, but there's nothing new. We had a special meeting earlier this month, which handled the major portions of what we had to handle.
I am going to bring something up that's not going to be presented by the attorney, so I'm just going to reserve this spot under new business, right? Legal services.
Oh, okay.
That's it. No, I'm going to address it down there because
okay.
I don't want to steal the spot on the agenda.
I just thought I thought I was hoping we would finish cracking all the parts. Okay, approval of payment of bills.
Make a motion that we approve payment of bills totaling $213,661.58.
Supported. Been properly moved and supported that we pay the bills in the amount of $213,661.58. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
Trustee Lanson?
Yes.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Mexico?
Yes.
Trustee Media?
Yes.
President Milford?
Yes. Madam Clerk?
Just the same thing, just have items in the July 5th or July 11th meetings. Thank you.
Ms. Whitsitt?
Total village assets as of May 31st, 2017, $2,633,984.12.
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Supported. The move and supported that we accept the treasury report as presented. Question on the motion?
What was that amount again, because it got cut off the agenda?
$2,633,984.12.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.